Do you know the one about a husband who came back from work one day to proudly announce to his wife that the deal that he had been working on for the previous 3 years was finally coming to fruition? A company that they had been working with finally accepted this business deal, and it was going to be paying a large amount of money to his company, and his personal piece of action will be about 3 million euros. So he said to his wife, "Darling, by the end of this week, we'll be 3 million euros richer, and we'll be, it's beyond our wildest dreams, so to speak." So he was just elated and delighted by the result of his work. And his wife said to him, "Did you bring the milk?" And he was like, "What milk?" I says, "Well, I've been asking you for 3 days to bring the milk because we live so deep in the countryside that I don't have a car. You drive to work every day and you tend to pick up the food, and the only thing we didn't have is the milk, and your parents are coming for dinner tonight. We don't have any milk, and I can't make things that I could make." And he said, "Darling, listen, okay, I forgot the bloody milk, all right? But from next week, from this Friday, we'll be able to buy, hectoliters of milk every day. We don't care." And she said to him, "But you didn't bring the milk, did you?" And he says, "No, I didn't. But why are you so, hung up on this?" And he got a bit upset about it. And she was upset too because, she didn't get the milk. So she probably had to get in the car, drive herself to the nearest shop and purchase the milk in order to be able to finish the dinner properly. So, from this little story, you can sort of, it's basically part of the theme of that story is what I wanted to talk about tonight, which is our perspectives as men and women, our domains and areas of interest, you see, and what they are and how we think, following on from that. So in this little story, what you could see is there's a man who is super excited. He's been working on a deal for 3 or 4 years. Now listen, these things are intense for us men. We come up with an idea, we need to work on a project, and it goes on in time, and you slave away. It's really exhausting work, and in the end, often you don't achieve success, but in this case he did. He achieved success, and they were going to be not wealthy, but they're going to be really well off compared how they have been, and get 3 million euros. It's great money. And so he was delighted by everything, and he was exhausted and tired, but delighted and happy, and he wanted to share happy news with his wife. But his wife wasn't happy, because it's all well and good about your deal, and that's all great, but she's got more pressing issues on her mind, and that's the dinner tonight. His parents are coming. He needs to make some special cake, and she needs milk for that and for other things too, and she can't do it without the milk that he was supposed to buy that. That's why she's been asking for 2 or 3 days. She knew his tendency to forget, but now she was really disappointed because even after 3 days, he could not come up with milk. So his news about all this money and all of that, it's all well and good, but right now I just can't connect with that. I'm upset about the fact that I cannot finish my dinner, you see. I don't have milk. And so there are two worlds colliding, and from those two worlds that are colliding, the husband gets upset because, of course, for him, in that big world of big deals and big money and everything that he's living in, this whole petty thing about milk is nothing. What is this thing about milk? Forget about it. It's just so prosaic, Why are you so hung up on it? He says to his wife, he's upset because she's being, in his mind, from his point of view, she's being really petty, and very small-minded. But from her point of view, he was being completely negligent and also disrespectful towards her and her needs, you see. Because in her world, and in this particular case, I agree with the wife. I think she's absolutely right. She should be upset with him no matter what kind of deal he had made. It's all great, but a woman, and this is the point of the whole talk tonight, a natural woman's area of interest is her home, her family, her husband, her children, her parents, and the web of people, of friends in local community that she's connected with. You see, that's really what her domain of interest is. She wants to live beautiful life in her lovely home with beautiful energies and beautiful things and beautiful children and goodness and gorgeousness and beautiful food, and inviting people for meals and cooking for them and all of those things that actually make life. You see, these things make life. You see, a man can go out and make money and make a lot of money, but he still doesn't have a life necessarily. He might think he's got it. But I think what man realizes in due course, when the madness of his teens and 20s and even 30s passes away, he realizes that really the point of life is to have a wife, to be married, and to have a home that is full of love and beauty and joy and good food and good feelings and everything beautiful. And that's where the wife, where the woman comes in. She is the source of that love that she spreads all around herself in the house and blesses the house and blesses their life with her love and care and beauty and her beautiful cooking skills and the way she maintains the garden and looks after the children, etc. In many ways, you see, my perspective is that this is really life. That is what life is, for all of us. We also have deals and things we're doing, and that's all fine. But we do all that in order to take care of our life, and to have comfortable, lovely lives and what have you. For men also is to prove themselves and to be appreciated for their efforts. And this is all God ordained, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I'm more of a traditional man. That's the perspective where I'm coming from, So, God has ordained it so for men to have an area of interest which is quite wide, and for women to have an area of interest which is seemingly smaller. But you see, they're basically equal, because it is what for a man is his big deals and big businesses and big things that he does, seemingly. For a woman is her home and her family and dinners with her family. And a man has to actually learn to appreciate that his woman area of interest is from his perspective small and sort of like, yeah, but there's not much going on there. I have business here and I'm doing this and I'm going over there. I'm having dinners with these Danish partners of ours. Then I'm going out to a football game. Man, you are playing against PSG and this is happening and that's happening. Them doing this. And a woman's domain is at home. She finds everything that she needs for her spiritual, psychological, emotional satisfaction. She finds in her home, with her family, with her children, with her parents, with the friends, with the networks, with the webs. That woman is part of a web where, people, look out for each other, meet up, take dogs for a walk, go on holidays, meet for coffees, etc. The woman is very involved in that web. This is her life. A man can be quite solitary, going out there in the world, doing many things and having a seemingly much broader scope of interest, and knowing a lot about this and about that. A man's addiction to knowledge. We love knowledge, we love knowing about things, but it's also, as I said, God ordained. It is something that's given to us, particular brand of our own magic that God has given us. But women have their own brand of magic. And in a good family, those two worlds coexist peacefully and beautifully. They overlap a bit, but not a great deal, or don't overlap at all, actually. And that ensures that the mutual respect and love flow. So man loves a woman because he sees that in her domain, she's a beautiful, caring, loving, gorgeous queen that provides everything, that gives everything she can to her world, you see. And he comes home into a loving home, you see. A home without a woman essentially has no love. Man cannot do that, you see. A woman can. And so man needs to come home and respect and love his wife and appreciate what she gives, and stop thinking that he's got some high view and high understandings of life, which on some intellectual level he might have, because his interests are naturally outside of home. Man in the home, it's too constrained, you see. It's too constrained. Man is naturally more expansive than that. But the woman doesn't really care about the fact that there's a war in Asia and some catastrophe in North America, or anything happening even in a kind of neighboring city maybe, or whatever. It's not that she doesn't care. She cares a great deal, but her immediate interest in her life, right here, right now, in her family, in her home, and this is where her interests are, and all her energy goes. That makes complete sense to me. When I was younger, being a more naive young man, I did not realize how important that is and how precious it is that God has installed that in us, you see. In women and in men, something else, a broader picture, bigger picture, where I can, as a man, protect and look after my family, knowing all these facts, and I don't need to burden my wife with it. She's doing such beautiful things with our home, with our children, with our life, and I just want to feed it and help it and love her for it, and hug her and kiss her and say thank you for being so fantastic, and not try to burden her with the knowledge that I'm burdened with about other political situation over there and what is going to happen over here, and all these things that are in my mind. At home, I want to have peace and love and beauty and family and gorgeousness. And at the epicenter of all of that is a woman, not a man. Not a man. Man has got a different role. But a woman can respect a man for his knowledge and understanding and explaining certain things to her that she hasn't got much natural interest in, and things like that. And that doesn't mean that she's not intelligent. Far from that. Women are very smart, you see. But our areas of interest are different. It's like we're playing for the same team, but there's a goalkeeper in the team and center back, and there's a forward in the team and wingers and stuff. Everybody plays different roles, and we need to respect that, you see. So as a man, don't fall for temptation. If you're a young man, you might fall for it, but don't fall for a temptation to ignore the fact that for a natural woman, her domain of interest is small and naturally smaller, but very deep in that space, while man's is much bigger in some ways, but also can often be collection of information in some ways more shallow, you see, than women's. Both have their place and both have their importance, and both need to be respected, you see. So, but in this situation, this particular man in the story, he basically disregarded his woman, you see. He disregarded her request. He had no right to do so, from where I stand, because you might be doing this great business deal that's going to help your family and your wife, all well and good, but you have to get the milk. You simply do. If you can't, if you've forgotten because you were so obsessed with yourself and with your deals and all of that stuff, you apologize to your wife. You apologize, you make amends, you go and you sit in the car and you immediately go and correct the situation. You've blown it for 3 days anyway. So, it's already a bad situation, not anyway, but it's a bad situation. So go and repair it and fix it. And your woman and your wife will be happy that you have done that at last, So yeah, don't get into temptation to disregard those fundamental facts of fundamental areas of interest, and don't reprimand or talk down at each other or because of it. We are very, very different in that respect. Now, in all my videos, I follow a particular rule, which is I make a general point that stands, but within it, there can be differences. For example, I lived in England for 27 years. And I can tell you honestly, after my 27 years in England, or in Britain, if you wanted to, in Britain, that the English, the British are, the English, let's say in particular, are emotionally guarded people. They are reserved. And I challenge you, if you go to Britain, spend 6 months there and come back, not to feel the same way. Not they're bad, not at all. They're very polite, kind, very nice people, but emotionally reserved. It takes you a long time to actually meet somebody properly, openly in the heart, and to exchange certain deeper things. The English are very guarded, and that's how the culture is. But does it mean that every Englishman or Englishwoman is like that? Not at all. Some of the best and most exuberant and sweetest people and kindest people that I ever met are English. So, but the fact that they're like that, those people, doesn't mean that the rule doesn't stand, you see. So that's what I'm talking about here as well. It's a generalized point. There can be differences within it, but the rule, it still holds water. So as men and women, we need to appreciate our natural roles and not fiddle with them and not disrespect them, and so, but support them, love them, appreciate them, apologize to each other when necessary, correct things, and so on and so forth. So that's the first thing. And the second thing I want to mention also is that another tendency and difference between men and women, because you see, men and women are two different universes. And all the rubbish you're getting today, we're all the same, we're all equal, we're all like this, we're all like that, that's really a propaganda that has nothing to do with truth. The truth cuts through all of it like a hot knife through butter, because the truth is that men and women are inwardly very, very different. Physically, to some degree, we're different, but inwardly, two different universes. And if we don't respect our inward differences and how we look at the world, our preferences and wishes and the way we position ourselves and what our interests are, all of that, if we don't respect that and understand each other, there's going to be always problems, particularly today, where the society is teaching us so many things that are essentially very detrimental to ourselves, and they actually change our roles, natural roles, God-given roles as men and women to such a degree that a woman will be pushed to emotionally, psychologically become a man, you see. So a woman lives in the body of a woman, but it's actually exhibit a lot of type of behavior that are naturally man's behaviors, and men to become softer and more pliable and quieter and etc., which are natural women's tendencies, you see, and so that doesn't work neither for men nor for women. And as I say, where that thing starts falling apart, you can be sort of drunk on any ideology that you want. For a woman, one of the main ideologies that works against them is feminism, of course. It's a political ideology made to destroy them, but to make them feel really strong in the middle of it, you see. But where feminism naturally collapses, as I said in my previous video, is when a woman reaches the age of 45, lives alone in a small flat, has 2 cats, and cooks a soup for one. This is where she realized she's been cheated and her life has gone down the pan, really, because now she's going to live another 30, 40, 50 years generally alone and broken, and that's very, very sad. So in order for that not to happen, partially I make this video, you see, make these types of videos to bring the awareness to each other about our natural God-given tendencies and inclinations, and by respecting them, we have a good life. It's very, very simple, but disrespect them, big problems. And our society, really, Western society, is violently disrespecting those our natural tendencies, and wants to school you in school and in media, school you to completely change your psyche, you see. It cannot change your physicality. They're trying now with all these transgender things and stuff. They're all political agendas, you see. So to come back to another tendency that we have as men that are different than what women have is the relationship to time. You have to understand that a woman is very imminent. For a woman, she thinks about now and maybe yesterday and tomorrow, a few days here or there, but it's all around this time. That's woman's life. She thinks about her home, her family, her children, her, in that respect. But in terms of time, it's now. While man has a completely different relationship to time. Man is connected with the past, and a very long past, and future too. You see, man lives across times. That's how we are made to be, and that's quite challenging and difficult for men. But also, it's also very natural. But it's, the challenges, there are a number of them, but one of them is that it makes things more complex, because in order to understand the present, a man is fully aware that he needs to understand the past. Well, for a woman, natural woman here, unless woman has been moved psychologically to being a man, much more, then she will exhibit, let's say, more manly interests, and maybe she will be living more across the times. But man needs to know the past in order to know what's gone wrong or well in the present, or what can be corrected in the future. If you forget your past, you will screw up your present for sure. And so, and also you need to protect your family, your society, and so on and so forth. So, for all those reasons, we are equipped with different relationship at the time. Woman's is immediate. Woman is a very immediate being, yeah, and a man may again fall flat on his face, but disrespecting the fact that God made a woman like that she's immediate. You see, that in this moment she feels this emotion, she expresses it. She feels sadness, she expresses it. She feels love, she expresses it. She experiences passion, sexual passion, whatever it is, she'll express it, and while man is, he's different. He'll be thinking, yeah, but I mean, I'd like this now, but then, if I say that I want this food, maybe it's too much, it's this and that. Man is always thinking, what have I done here? What am I going to do? How I'm going to, he's little bit generally. Again, I'm not saying we're all like that, but a natural woman is much more present to the moment. And she often, I feel like, women see my truth more than I see it myself, because they're aware of this present moment, while I'm caught up in thinking about the past and what I did yesterday, what I need to do today, and how this is while she can cut through my confusion and spot me in the moment and help me with her immediacy. While a man can actually explain something to a woman and help her to understand why we shouldn't do something, maybe because we've done it in the past, it didn't work, this is not good for us, maybe we should, things like that, while a woman may emotionally feel she wants to do something. So that's another way we're built differently. It's very, to me, there's many ways, and I will go in my videos through many ways that we differ. But if you're a young man or a young woman, please at least pay attention to this. It doesn't matter to me whether, you adopt it or not and all that, but please just hear it, because in the society, they will teach you everything but this. And they will laugh at you if you start sort of believing in anything like the teachings that I've just given you. But I've seen enough in life to be quite confident that this is a very, very intelligent and good way to live. It's essentially going back to how the generations of people before us, your grandmother, your grandfather, their grandmother, and fathers and mothers lived without messing up the fundamental makeup of how we are as human beings. You see, men and women. Don't mess it up, respect it, love it. If you're a man, when you meet a woman, don't demand from her to appreciate your amazing big world and all the projects you're doing, but be interested in her world. How's her home? What is she doing? What does she like eating? You see, a relationship to food. What does she like cooking? Where does she like going for walks and things like that? Be interested in her life rather than coming and just exploding about your life, hoping that you'll get admiration and so on and so forth. You may, but that will take time, because a woman, we're very, very different. We function very differently. The sooner we understand that, the better. So, I've got a lot to talk about these things, but this is enough for today. So remember, different spheres of interest. Woman's is smaller and seemingly smaller. It's around the home and family. Man's is seemingly bigger and, many things are in it. Also, the relationship time with women, it's immediate, it's now, it's what's happening around this time. With men, it's bigger, it's across almost centuries. Man can sit around and think about, the Battle of Malta, for example, or when Jan Sobieski, the Polish king, saved Europe and routed the Turks at Vienna, you see, and he can draw conclusions out of it for about today. Vast majority of women have no interest in that. But there are some very good women historians. But I'm talking about general tendencies here, and I know you understand me. So, until we meet again, until the next video, stay really well. All the very best, and thank you.